Scrappy Kathy here on a beautiful Saturday in Alpharetta, Georgia. Today is Scrap Squad Sunday. When you watch this, it will be, but I'm filming it on Saturday, of course. And for today, I'm governed by this, which is the Scrap Lift number 11 for Scrap Squad. It came out yesterday, and I absolutely love it. There's a lot about it that's not necessarily my style. And as many of you know, I'm doing Calvinball, and my main drawing kit for it is my homemade How to Kill a Kit with Style. And in it, I have a lot of Paige Evans, a lot of Vicki Boutin from their previous collections. The Paige Evans is Truly Grateful, and Vicki Boutin is Wildflower and Honey. And so I kind of pictured what I was going to do and decided to use mostly Wildflower and Honey, but I have a lot of embellishments from All the Good Things and Color Kaleidoscope and many other collections. So there will be a mix in there. I'm going to have different colors. My background is an authentic paper called Superstition. It's a Halloween paper, and I'm going to use this kind of distressed, almost dirty looking B-side. So let me cut the strip off and get that turned over. My side strips, I'm going to kind of get some of the basic stuff done, and then we'll go check Calvinball rules. As I said, I'm governed by this list of Calvinball, this sketch and this list of Calvinball rules. So I'm going to do some sketchy things first. I've done a little bit of gathering, and actually I reorganized all of my embellishments for Calvinball on my table today because I knew I didn't have to serve dinner tonight. And I'm wanting to try to get 3 layouts done today. This is my first. And I want to try to do 3 tomorrow before I do have to serve dinner. So I kind of I identified a few things and put them in here, and then I went through my How to Kill a Kit with Style kit and pulled things that I know will get points, and I had taken a look at this layout. So I pulled all the florals and put them here, and other things like birds and cameras and butterflies and clouds, things like that, here. So I'll draw from there and draw from here, and then I'll move the camera a bit so you can kind of see my other stuff. All of that is in play, as well as these boxes that have things like photo corners and sweets and fruit and banners and hearts and stars and birds, etc. So if I will draw from those if I can't find anything in my How to Kill a Kit with Style kit. And my goal is to, through Calvinball, really make these not quite so full. Just as an example, this is a box of banners. And I hate doing this, but when I have this many banners in here, I try not to take a scrap of paper from a collection I'm working with and use it. I try to go shopping for banners in there. But I think for this layout, I'll show you what I mean. There's a really cute, this is a banner that's been pleated, and then they use one, I think, going the other direction. Well, no, here, it's kind of hidden behind some of this greenery, but they've got a couple banners. Well, I don't have any in there that are long enough to do that with, so I'm probably going to pull a pattern paper and do something like that with it. Okay, let me put the sketch aside. You'll notice that there are these strips of paper down the side. They've got what looks like a kind of a graphic type one on each end on the outside. Then there's a wood grain, and it looks like there's something in between. I'm going to use stitching in between, and I'm going to use my famous fake stitching, and I'll use it in, I have kind of an orange and gold pattern right here. Maybe I'll decide once I get things on whether I'm going to go with this one or this one. So I'll put that back. Okay. Now let me cut, and I'm gonna. These are my photos. It's Ava in 2009. She wasn't walking yet, and she was about a year old, I guess. And so I have a color, a large color, and a smaller black and white. And those colors in her outfit do not at all go with what I've picked. Okay, let me put things. I've got my table kind of crowded with things I wanted to show you. So, okay, I have this scrap. Love this paper. It's not floral at all, but it does have some floral circles. It's certainly colorful and graphic. I have punched a crown out of it, and I'll have to see if I need that or not. So first thing I'm going to do is remove this 1/2-inch strip. I'm going to work with 1/2-inch strips, and one of which will be this one. That's the branding strip. So that's one, and now I'm going to cut another. Well, I left a little bit of the strip on the main sheet. Okay, my blade isn't all that sharp. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this one. Okay, one of those will go on one side, the other will go on the other side. Now I'm going to cut some 1/2-inch strips of actually I'm going to go with 3/4-inch strips of the orange. And I love that it kind of has a little bit of a bleached look there. And I'm going to put this aside. I may go back to it later. I may actually want to fussy cut some of those circles to add as embellishments. So I'll kind of put it someplace I can find it quickly. Okay. I think that's all the cutting that I have to do. So I'm going to put my cutter trimmer on the chair. Okay, let's take the dirty paper, and I'm going to do the colorful strips on the outside, and this one that's a little bit rough from my trimmer, I'm just going to have it inside, and where it butts up against one of these is where I'll put that stitching, so it's going to get covered up anyway. Okay, let's get my tape runner, and I'm going to go here, here, and here. Okay. And of course, I always think about my border, or I just design it the way I want to when I'm doing it. And then later, I realize that certain designs lend themselves to being photographed better than others. I'm going to put this one with the kind of bleached edge up near the top. And as far as this design is concerned, what I see in it is a cluster here and a cluster that's almost the same size here and a title that bridges across. So I think that's kind of what I'm hoping to keep to. And what I like about it, it's perfect for Calvinball because it has so many embellishments, and it lends itself to using up the kinds of things that I'm trying to kill in my kit, with style, by the way. Okay. I'm going to use this video, this Scrap Sunday video, as my kind of catch-up video, or at least illustration. I've made, I think 20 layouts for Calvinball, and most of them are made with bits from my kit, and where I need Calvinball points and I can't find or make anything from my How to Kill a Kit with Style kit, I will do, I'll pull from, specialty papers. I didn't have any vellum in that kit, for example, so I needed that. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is stitching, and I think I'm going to go with the orangey brown. Just looking at it, I don't really care for it that much, but it's the right color for the colors I've chosen here. So I'm just going to take that and kind of roll it out as I go along. It's easier to keep the adhesive side down, which is where you want it, if you just take one section off at a time. Makes it a little bit slower, but it's worth the trouble, because when you've got the adhesive sticking up, it doesn't stick to what you want, but it sticks to your fingers, and it's really hard to undo. Okay, I'm going to let the edges, the ends, be frayed. I'm not going to dab them with glue or anything to prevent that, because in my album, I think I'm going to like, you're not going to be able to tell in the photograph, but in my album, I think I'm going to like that look. Okay, one more side to do here, and then we'll get into placement of the photos. I kind of want to look at how the photos are. So here's an example of the adhesive isn't exactly on the bottom. So, and these are very old cards of this stitching, and it sometimes the adhesive stays on the card. So I'm gonna kind of do a tiny bead of this here, and that should stick down, and I'll kind of roll it over. Okay, so now I thought I needed to do that because as I pull to get this taut, I didn't want to pull it off because it wasn't adhered well enough. There's a little bit of the glue there. That's kind of what I tried to avoid over on the other side. But as you get down deeper, you just never know what you're going to find. Okay. Almost done. Then we'll get into something faster moving and maybe a bit more interesting. This is where I wish I did videos like other people and edited them. Okay, gonna put the stitching over, I have a special box for that, right there. Okay, now we're gonna start here, and I think I'm gonna take the photos, and I thought I'd put this one kind of here, and this one here, and instead of making two equal size, let me get the camera a little bit adjusted there. I'll bring this back down where it's a comfortable working spot for me. I'll remember that I need to keep it up here. What was I saying? I think instead of equal-sized clusters, I may have a larger cluster up around the large photo and a smaller one down in the corner. And I think in the original, there's no photo in that bottom cluster. It's all just embellishments. But I think I'll probably place them like that. I'm not going to mat this one because I'm going to be surrounding it with so many embellishments that'll actually form the frame. And if I need to, I can tuck layers back to kind of highlight things. I'm probably going to overlap some embellishments here, and so that'll kind of totally envelop the photo. And here, cover my glue. I'm getting to the end of this glue bottle, and I've hesitated to go out and get any more, and I haven't taken the time. I have to use it because I didn't take the time to order it. Okay, let's see. I think I'll just go ahead and throw caution to the wind and go ahead and what I'm planning to use for my title is one of these big words. I have a whole slew, and one of the Calvinball rules is you get a point for having journaling or a title that's either song lyrics or song title. So I've got this word remember, and I selected a neutral color tiny alpha, and I'm going to write in these alphas, you must, and then this, so you must remember this. And it's the journaling will probably talk about it just about always when I scrap photos of Ava from back when she had no cancer diagnosis. I find myself wistfully remembering the good old days when we didn't have to worry about that. I may overlap this R on the photo and then put a foam dot, a large foam dot on the end, and a couple smaller ones on the way there. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on now. Let me get this down. And I want it far enough down that I can have some embellishments up here, although, and like I said, I'll probably overlap something here, but I want something kind of extending to the corner. And that's where I can layer things like my small frame or things like that. And I had someone ask how I go about choosing. Obviously, most of us have rather large stashes of supplies, and so the idea is kind of overwhelming as we get to where we have lots of rules, and we have over 80 now. It's natural to wonder how you select those. And I showed you that I have things on the table because I know there are rules. Now they'll change. Today they took away a couple things we had been using, like hedgehogs and, oh, I don't know, multicolored title or something like that. And I have a basket that's holding all of those things that were rules but got taken away. And I have a sneaking suspicion that there may be a day or a couple days where Alice adds all rules we've ever had back onto the list. She did that last year. And so I just kind of want to have them handy. So toadstools, we don't have toadstools anymore. And let's see if I can do that. You can't see what I'm doing here. Let me get the layout. If I keep the layout there and I have the camera there, instead of layering this photo here where there's not really any room to do anything at the bottom, I thought I might kind of tuck it up under the title. And I kind of like that. So I've already got adhesive on it. Let me rub over that with some foam. I moved it when I did that. That was not good. This authentic paper is textured, and for some reason it really holds on to adhesive, or adhesive really holds on to it, and that's great. I just had an embellishment fall off of a card, and it's a heart, and we get a point for a heart, so I'm going to, it's chipboard, and I always put wet glue on chipboard, and just for the hell of it, I'm going to put it maybe right here on the photo. Ooh, come on. There's a string of the glue. I normally don't do that with my fingers. I usually do it with tweezers, but okay. Now for the fun part. We know there are florals around, and these florals from the Wildflower and Honey collection, they're points for flowers and for greenery. I'm going to pass on the lemons. We had lemons or citrus fruit as a rule, and I didn't. And it's not active any longer. So there's that flower that could go here, or it could, I could maybe, I really want to use it, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it down and layer things over it. It's so huge that it's perfect for layering things up on it. And there's this flower that could kind of go over there. So let me do that one with a pop dot. And those two, if you know your Vicky Bouton collections, those two flowers are from different collections. I'm going to use this one, this smaller one down here, and let it overlap onto the, and let that be kind of down there. This one I may cut in half and use half of it at the bottom and half at the top. I could do this and put a big dot so it holds it up, and then I'll start layering in some greenery. So we've got those colors that we're seeing in the trash can close by. Here's some greenery. Here's a big leaf. Where can I use this? Can I use this up here? That's kind of cute. I like it there. Might I want it elsewhere? We'll see. It's easy enough. If I don't press it too hard, it's easy enough to move. This is greenery and it's a frame. And I thought I've got a little frame in here. I'm going to kind of pull a couple things out. This little tiny frame might be cute as a layering piece over here. So I'm just going to kind of leave it here. And I'm going to maybe cut this like so. And it can kind of work like that. It doesn't look much like a frame. I could have used it, you know, as a real frame, but didn't. But I do like that the greenery is on white. These are kind of cooler colors. There's so many warm colors in the collection that I'm kind of liking those cooler colors. And I like that it's kind of at wonky angles, so when I do this, it's more interesting. So there. Now, purple, I get points for purple, and this is a Vicky Bouton's kind of sprig here, and I'm not trying to decide where I want to put my purple. You know what I didn't do is I didn't do my, I like that. I didn't do my walnut ink before we started working. Where is my walnut ink? It's over here. I'm going to do it that way. Okay. Let's try to protect the photos. I'll protect, and I'll do some inking in these two areas. Actually, and I might want to get some over on the orange paper on the side, and the same here. Okay, so that's my inking, and for the purposes of this layout, I think we can probably let it dry, but I'll have some paper towel set aside just in case. Okay, I like this for over here. Let's do some large greenery, maybe here, and I'll put that on a pop dot so that I tuck it under, but it sticks up and has some dimension. Okay, do that. And over in that cluster, I've got these bits. There's a bird. I like that bird. And it would be nice kind of overlapping the photo. It covers the, actually let me cut, it won't cover so much if I kind of tuck it down farther. There we go. And then we have this arch of greenery above it. So I'm just going to kind of do this and let it stick to whatever it can stick to under there. And that somewhat tones down the colors. I've got this little butterfly. It's vellum. It has gold foil. You get a point for a butterfly, a point for vellum, and a point for gold foil, and a point for pink, and it is pink. So I'm going to put it on a small pop dot and put it kind of right there, overlapping the photo. Now, I want to use some more greenery. Here's a smaller leaf that's the same type of leaf as the one there. I'm going to put a smaller pop dot on it. And that, when you do this, it holds up, the end of it holds up so you see the dimension, and the part you tucked under can kind of move around if you have some other embellishment that wants to go. So when I'm doing embellishments early like this, and I'm sorry that you have to watch me struggle with the pop dots, I struggle with the backing on the small pop dots every time, and I get somewhat impatient, even when I'm not on camera. Okay, so I can do that, put it there. And then, for example, if I decided that's where I wanted to use the little frame, I can kind of move that around. I'm actually going to maybe do the frame as I'll see when I start adding other embellishments. So I've got this other piece of greenery, a sprig, if you will. Don't think I need to use that. I'm going to put it back in the Vicki Boutin bucket. I've got this type of greenery as well. That looks very different from what I've already used. This is a circle with a flower and it's etched on black. I like it. I'm not sure. Oh, I could use it there. Let's use it there. It's unusual. But it's something in cream on black, and it's kind of right near that green and white, and it's on a cream background. This is something that I thought I might want to try to use, but I've cut part of it off, and I think I'd have to have something overlapping it here, and I'm really not feeling it. This camera, I'm going to cut in half and use either this side kind of tucked in like this, or this side kind of tucked in like that. I kind of like the pink, or I could actually use it this way and I could show the pink. And what I like about that is it kind of gets popped up by the stitching on this one corner. So you get a little bit of dimension. Okay, one of the things you get a point for is a tag. And I found this little scrap of twine. It's jute, actually, I think. And I have this thing that came from a collection that I won as a prize from Mind the Scrap. It just was delivered a couple days ago. I don't want to punch a hole in this that even though I'm going to make a tag out of it, but I thought I'd staple the twine onto it. So let me pull my stapler out, my tiny attacher. Let me see, I think I'll put it behind, and I'll kind of twist it like that so that it has this little loop and it keeps the pieces together. And I'll do that in an X, or not exactly an X, but it's good enough. And I thought I could maybe do it. There's the pop dot there. Okay, let me put it here. I'll put a little bit of, good the pop dot wasn't, I'll do that. And then I'll angle this leaf so that it doesn't cover the cap. Okay, you can still see the cap there. Okay, this tells me, because I've got that kind of squared off element, if you will, this tells me I may use this up here. And I'm going to go ahead and attach it as a kind of a base. If I put it like this, I have the orange color up at the top, but the writing is upside down. And you know, that doesn't bother me. So I'm going to kind of push it down onto the photo and put it right there, and then we'll see what we're going to do. This greenery is kind of out of context for what I'm doing here. These are balloons cut out of, we get a point for balloon and we get a point for geometric pattern paper, and this is a geometric pattern. I'm going to trim off a balloon, or a couple balloons. I'll do 2. And I'm going to maybe layer them kind of like this. And there's some very tiny elements that can maybe go on there, and they'll end up being kind of covered. There we go. I don't want any daylight showing to the left of this. Okay, this is cute, and it could work kind of right in here. What I like is it's kind of vertical, so I think I am going to use it. I may just leave it where it is and do a pop dot here and let it have some dimension. And we'll start getting into some of the smaller elements. I'll let some of that overlap. I'll let it overlap the camera there, and this kind of overlap the photo. Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to put the balloons away. One of the points we need is an airplane, a train, or an automobile. So I have this little perspective that is this probably would have worked for the frame as well. I thought I could put it as kind of, instead of square where the plane is going down, or like this where the plane is going up, I thought I'd use it as a diamond, kind of layered over a larger element like that camera. I could have layered it over, still could, layer it over this flower, and that would, let's make sure that you can see all that. I could layer it here or even here. And here you'd cover the center of the flower, here you do that. But I kind of like it contrasted with the black, so I think that's my decision. And for those of you who are screaming, do it the other way, I'm sorry. Okay, we'll do that there. Press that down, that glue will dry in a minute. Okay, another point can be gained by using a paper clip. So instead of using a real clip, I have this chipboard clip from a Heidi Swap, I think it's Heidi Swap, kind of planner stuff. And I don't know what good chipboard is in a planner, but let me, where can I put that? It's kind of cute if I put it here where it looks like it's holding that little frame onto the page, onto the flower. So I'm going to leave that there. I have, for my purple element, I painted some wood veneer. There's a point for wood veneer and there's a point for purple. So I think I'll try to, what I've done is I painted these things and then I put them into clusters where they won't show much. And I can kind of tuck them back into there. So I'm going to put that there instead of the plane. I have this, there's an arrow point, and I have this, piece of, I probably do want it up, this piece of chipboard that has arrows on it. It has lost its adhesive, so I'm just gonna use a bit of it here and maybe the rest of it kind of go in there. And I'm not going to okay, I like that. It adds to that horizontal element that we have going on. I'm going to add some liquid adhesive to it here, and it's going to hit the, unless I push it in, I bet, it's going to hit the stitching, which kind of stands up a bit, and that isn't necessarily what I wanted to happen. But I can't, oh, look, it's just almost inside of that where I cut it. Okay, let me see if I can work the stitching a bit. Then it'll kind of look like it has stitched that on. What I'm doing here is I just pull the stitching up from the paper and kind of layering it over the chipboard. Okay, that works. And now these arrows will go here, and I may layer them under that flower. How far up could they go? I don't care where it ends up on this side, but I would like, let me get my tweezers. I would like the flower to be propped up by it. Okay, there we go. And what I need to do, I can't see the arrow part. This is, there we go. Okay, I've got room, and I've just moved the camera with my